Good afternoon. It's indeed both a pleasure and a singular honor to give this keynote address in this first medical device Digi Expo. I thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity. And today I will take you through our own experience with the use and development of artificial intelligence, basically in my own field at Mahajan Imaging, that is radiology. And as the topic says, we do believe that artificial intelligence in healthcare, thought to be in the future, we feel the future is here. Now, what is artificial intelligence? It may surprise many to know that this is not a new concept. This was a term coined way back in 1956 by John McCarthy, and it refers to the ability of computers to learn without being explicitly programmed. Of course, as we all know, this is the new buzzword. AI is everywhere. It has gained huge recent popularity. And the major reason for that is the exponential increase in computing power. Each of us today carries a supercomputer in our pockets, our cellular phones. And also, new approaches such as deep learning, which really came into its own as late as 2016, have widespread implications and applications for AI. So, what is AI? Basically, it is the use of high-end computing to find hidden patterns in data, and that's why data becomes so important. And there is significant overlap with the field of computational neuroscience. It has also been said that AI is whatever machines can't do yet, since that constitutes AI, and what does not is constantly changing. There are types of artificial intelligence, and this is a very famous photograph. This is artificial narrow intelligence. This was Deep Blue versus the world champion in chess, Garry Kasparov. And this is when Deep Blue actually beat Garry Kasparov. And this is that you teach the computer one singular task, like chess, and it becomes phenomenally intelligent, phenomenally good in it. But it is narrow intelligence, one task. Then we have artificial general intelligence. This is the emerging field. This is the next frontier. This talks about reinforcement learning, where you teach the computer AlphaGo and it is able to self-learn chess and shogi. This is where humans are, artificial general intelligence. And so the computer is taught one particular game or field, and then on its own, it's able to gain knowledge and learn more things. Then we have the field of artificial superintelligence, and the world is divided about its possibility. This really describes the point in time when AI becomes stronger than humans, and we have so many science fiction books and movies where robots will rule the world. It's scary, and I sincerely hope that day never comes. Now, there are two broad categories of AI applications. The first is something that humans can do, but AI can do better, faster. We know that humans can monitor CCTV cameras, but maybe one human being can monitor 10, 20, maybe even 25. But with AI, you can monitor thousands and thousands of them. So it is something humans can do, but AI is able to do much better, much faster. Another example is of humans who can translate language, but maybe one knows two languages for the superhumans amongst us may know 8 or 10, but with Google Translate, as you know, it knows nearly all. And so, even though humans can translate language, Google Translate can do it better. So this is one broad category of AI applications. And the second category is something that AI can do, but humans cannot do at all. And this is an example of something we use on a daily basis, which is Google Maps. There's no way that I can know sitting in my car what is happening 3 kilometers away, or how long it'll take me from point A to point B, which is something which Google Maps can do phenomenally well. So this is an application where humans just cannot compete with AI. Now coming to healthcare proper, and AI has percolated and is percolating into all aspects of healthcare. If you talk about preventive and population health, prediction of cardiovascular risk factors from retinal fundus photographs via deep learning was a paper in Nature in March 2018. And so you just look at the fundus and the computer can tell you what is your cardiovascular risk of developing a heart attack or even a stroke. Then we have next generation psychiatric assessment using smartphone sensors to monitor behavior and mental health, again published 6 years ago in 2015. And these predictive tools are coming into play more and more, especially with wearable devices that are coming into their own. And the day is not far when it will be able to predict a heart attack happening, warn you, so that you can take action well in time. In the field of diagnostics, especially in radiology, there's extensive applications, and this is an area we will go into in detail. This is my area, and we will talk about this. There's use in triaging, pre-reading, quantitative imaging, and we will see all of that. In pathology, which is not so digital to begin with, but with digital pathology coming in, this is slowly picking up, but there is still lack of digital infrastructure, because of which it's a slow pickup. In genomics, what would we do without AI? Machine learning techniques form a part and parcel of next-gen sequencing. And so in diagnostics, this probably will be one field where usage of AI is going to be extensive, and it's really going to change the way we diagnose disease. In the field of therapeutics also, machine learning and other technologies are expected to make the hunt for newer pharmaceuticals quicker, cheaper, and more effective. This is Nature 2018. And there has also been great learning from IBM Watson for drug discovery. And it's very, very important for newer biologics. So AI in healthcare is coming into its own. Hundreds of billions of dollars are being spent, and the day is not far when it'll come into day-to-day clinical use, improving overall accuracy, quality, turnaround times, and hopefully access and reduction of costs. Now, what is artificial intelligence and how does it really work? Learning or training is the fundamental basis of all AI today. And we have supervised learning, which is the traditional technique, and most healthcare AI is focused on this. This involves feeding labeled data into algorithms so that patterns in data are recognized. This is labor intensive, and the ground truth is vital. For higher accuracy, better the labels, better the output. For example, Facebook's face detection only works once enough pictures of people are tagged by users. Chest X-ray algorithms require thousands and hundreds of thousands of labeled images, and the better the label, if it is a first-year resident who is performing the labeling task versus a super specialist chest radiologist, the algorithm is going to be that much different because the super specialist is going to do a much better job of labeling, of giving the right diagnosis, and that is what the computer is going to be learning. Now, this is an example on your right of numbers, and this is a data set for digits. Suppose we look at this 3. There are many ways in different people will write 3 in different ways, and we need to feed the computer as many of these variables as possible so that irrespective of how someone actually handwrites 3, it's able to pick it up. And that's the same for a chest X-ray or a head CT or a head MRI or a knee MRI. More diverse the data, better will be the output, better the ground truth, better will be the algorithm, more accurate will be the algorithm, more sensitive and specific will be the algorithm. Now, how is an AI algorithm developed? The most important thing, we have to find data. This is, of course, the most important step. Find as much heterogeneous data as possible that addresses the problem that you're going to solve. So you should get data from a rural area hospital, a rural clinic, a tier 1 hospital, the best that there is, a secondary level hospital, a tertiary level hospital, and mix all of it together with good ground truth labels to be able to develop an AI algorithm. And there's increasing focus on data. In fact, there are ways of monetizing data. The data, as is the cliched term, is the new oil. Then once you find the data, you have to train the model. And the data is split into the training and validation data sets, normally 50-50, and the algorithm then finds patterns itself on the training data. What happens next? You've developed an AI model. You think it's fantastic. It's 95, 98, 99% accurate, but that may be far from the truth. So what do we do? The next step is to validate the model. The trained model is validated on balanced data, the same 50% that you've saved, which is similar. And from this, summary statistics are calculated. But is that enough? No. You've developed a model on a particular data set, and then you have validated it on that same data set, and it is going to be very good if your algorithm has been developed well. But most important is the next step. Before you actually are able to use it in day-to-day clinical practice is testing the model. And this trained model is then tested on data from a completely new site, a new hospital. And we believe at Caring and Mahajan Imaging that you will have to test it in each deployment area, be it a hospital or a clinic or a group of hospitals, so that you know how well it is working on your data, the data of your hospital or clinic, because it is well known now that AI algorithm, which has been pre-validated and which gives pristine results, 98% AUC, area under the curve, when you may test it on a different test model, it may be 60-70% accurate, and hence you need to fine tune the model before you bring it into clinical practice. Now we come to the radiology use of AI in radiology, where we perceive it's going to be, and how AI is going to change and is changing radiology practice. This is the radiology value chain, which starts with patient scheduling and preparation. Then is the patient actually coming to the department or the center where scanning and image acquisition is done. Then is the next step, which is the processing and analysis of the raw data that is acquired from the patient. And finally is the holy grail, which is what the radiologist does, which is the diagnosis. So these are the 4 steps in the radiology value chain, and let's address them one by one. Patient scheduling and preparation. Predicting patient wait time and appointment delays. So many times, as we know, we have booked patients for the second or third day, and the patient today just fails to show up. You've got a tight waiting list. There's even someone who requires a urgent scan, but you say you will have to wait because I'm fully booked, but the booked patient doesn't turn up and you're sitting free. It's a predicament which all of us radiologists, all the radiology manners people see on a day-to-day basis. Now, this is a paper from 2018 from Mass General Howard Medical School, Machine Learning for Predicting Patient Wait Times and Appointment Delays. Many times patients will come and a previous patient takes more time and the next one is waiting and saying, you're wasting my time, you should call me, given me appointment at the right time. Now, there is an AI algorithm which can accurately predict waiting times and scheduled appointment delays. And because of this, can increase patient satisfaction and enable staff members to more accurately assess and respond to patient flow. So even this is possible. This is quite a robust algorithm. Now, even like I said, will a patient not show up? This is a paper again predicting scheduled hospital attendance with artificial intelligence. Failure to attend scheduled hospital appointments, we know, disrupts clinical workflow. And this is an algorithm which can actually predict that out of the 25 patients that you schedule for an MRI today, which are the ones who will not show up and can do it pretty accurately. Next, scanning and image acquisition. And this is our own work, which was presented in 2019 at the International Society of Magnetic Resonance in Medicine and at the European Congress of Radiology, where development of virtual MRI images, creating diffusion and T1 weighted images from T2 weighted brain images. So we ourselves in-house developed an algorithm where the computer was trained to see T2 weighted images and artificially itself create T1 and diffusion weighted images. And we were very, very excited at this. This is an example of virtual diffusion. This is the input T2 weighted image. This is a true diffusion, and this is a virtual diffusion. This is an area of ischemic demyelination or a chronic infarct. And this doesn't light up on diffusion, doesn't light up on the virtual diffusion image also. Whereas here, this is a T2 weighted image. This is the true diffusion. This is an acute clot, acute infarct in the brain, which is shown on true diffusion. And we were very surprised that even on the virtual diffusion image, it is able to show it. So on this data set that we used and the AI algorithm that we developed, the computer, the algorithm was able to differentiate between acute and chronic infarcts, something which a radiologist is not able to do very well. And so can we just do T2 weighted images and synthetically create the virtual diffusion images through AI algorithm? This can have huge connotations. It can reduce imaging times, and you can actually get these virtual images. These are some other examples. You see these bright signals all around. These are the chronic ones. This here is the acute one. And actually, on the diffusion image, again, it's able to pick up very nicely the acute infarct and the chronic infarcts are not seen. Even a tiny little infarct here is picked up so well on these virtual diffusion images. So this was pretty surprising when we showed it 2 years ago. And something even more surprising, which our group has done, and this is a group called Caring, a group of radiologists, engineers, data scientists, application people, pathologists, even MBAs sitting together and trying to solve problems. This is a synthetic PET generator to generate PET images from CT scan without actually doing a PET scan. Now, this is synthetic PET, as we call it. This was also presented 3 years ago at the Radiology Society of North America in Chicago. That's a CT scan. This is a true PET which picks up these lymph nodes taking up isotope. This is FTG, and this is synthetic PET, which again picks up the same. And you have to believe me that this computer wasn't shown this true image. It just developed this using the algorithm that was developed in-house by us. That's another case. This is a lung cancer. This is the true PET, and this is the synthetic PET. And we filed patents for these. That's another case again. So just think of the possibility. Can an AI algorithm, and we have to still do a deep dive into it, can an AI algorithm actually give you PET images without having done a PET scan? The possibility, even the thought, is phenomenal. Yet another case here. Then we have the automation of the MR protocoling process, where automatically using AI, you just need to feed in what is the kind of scan that you want, and it'll put the cut lines, as you can see there, automatically. And when a patient comes for a repeat scan, it'll actually put the cut lines in the same manner next time also, something which a radiologist may not be able to do. Then again, taking this further, this is using AI reconstruction of 7 Tesla-like images from 3 Tesla. So higher resolution images from lower resolution images. So can we use this, extend this, get 3 Tesla-like images from a 1.5 Tesla? It would be phenomenal. Or actually do a very quick low resolution scan and be able to recreate a high resolution scan, and work on this is on. Some of it is already come into day-to-day clinical practice. So this is to show a low resolution ASL, arterial spin labeled MRI, and this is high resolution. This took 2 minutes, this took 8 minutes. And here again, we can get a synthetic ASL from this low resolution image, which matches the high resolution image. So in 2 minutes, you're able to get, using AI, the quality that you would get from an 8-minute scan. And this is again, this was cleared a few years ago in 2019. GE's deep learning image reconstruction engine, where using very low radiation dose, it's able to give high resolution images. So you are actually able to reduce the radiation that you give to your patient on a CT scan. Another area we are working in, which is non-invasive measurement of the hepatic wedge pressure, the venous pressure gradient from CT or MRI images work, which is ongoing. Then processing and analysis, and this is automated lumbar spinal canal stenosis, something again we presented 2 years ago at the European Congress of Radiology, and this is now available as a product. It can do automated lumbar spinal canal stenosis detection, measurements, what is the diameter, what is the anterior posterior length, and so on and so forth. Is there narrowing? How much is the narrowing? How much is the pressure? All can be determined automatically. And this is again from a New Delhi-based startup, which can measure the height of the vertebral bodies, the discs, and also tell you whether there's any compression collapse, and of course do canal measurements and all of that automatically. Automated liver and vessel and tumor segmentation. This is again with one of our collaborators, Preventive, out of Bangalore. And so tumor measurements can be done, lung volume measurements before liver volume measurements before liver transplant. Surgery can be done to know how much of the is the volume of the liver, how much is the left lobe, the right lobe, and whether liver transplant is feasible or not, done automatically without the need for a radiologist. Then again, in the brain, automated segmentation of white matter lesions, something which is a tedious task. It can number the lesions, it can tell you the sizes, it can compare between lesions. And this is in collaboration with a startup out of Spain called Kibin, which was housed in a 1,000-bed public hospital. And this again is an algorithm which is commercially available. And then we come to the holy grail, diagnosis, which is the final frontier. Will AI replace radiologists is a thought which concerns a lot of us radiologists, and more so the younger lot. One thing is for sure, AI algorithms are acting as triaging tools. This is something we helped GE develop, right from brainstorming, annotation, validation, all done at Caring. And this is a pneumothorax detection and localization algorithm in X-ray images, where automatically after X-ray is done, if there is pneumothorax, that's air outside the lung, it's an emergency, then the computer itself using AI is able to warn the technician, the radiologist, so that they are aware, they look at the X-ray first rather than look at it in the routine course, and hence action can be taken. The next, and this is our pride and joy, the first paper ever to be published in the Lancet on AI in imaging is from a group in India, our group, along with Cure AI, another startup out of Mumbai, automated detection of critical findings on CT of the head. And here this was trained on a data set of more than 3 lakh scans, validation done on 490 scans. And look at the area under the curve. For intracranial bleed, 0.94, fractures, 0.96, midline shift, mass effect. Here, it is even able to give an automatic report of how much is the blood collection, where is the fracture. It's able to outline all of that. Different kinds of bleeds, it's able to show, and all done automatically. Even how much is the shift of the brain because of the hemorrhage can be seen. Tiny fractures at the base of skull can be picked up. And so that is the possibility. But this large clot or infarct, which is the opposite of brain hemorrhage, was labeled as hemorrhage. So there would always need to be some radiological supervision till we are absolutely sure of what the algorithm does. Now, triaging leads to case prioritization, and so the critical case is automatically brought to the top so that the radiologist reads it first. Anyone with hemorrhage, the case will come to the top. Then this is what we've developed and what we are using. This is an AI-based quality assessment system. AI reads every scan in tandem with the radiologist and highlights the mismatches. This is a live dashboard which monitors AI performance versus radiologists, marking out the mismatches, which can be seen by another radiologist to determine whether the physical radiologist, the human radiologist, or AI was right and take corrective action. And the day is not far that this is going to become mainstream. The second radiologist, like I said, will act as an arbitrator, and the arbitrator has access to a portal where he or she can define who was right, AI or the radiologist, and this is currently deployed at Caring at Mahajan Imaging. Now, this in real world, we presented 2019. There were 12 wrong reports avoided by AI in 700 normal cases reread by AI. And so this will have an impact, a positive impact, where AI will work as a second reader and will try to sort out those missed cases or where there is a mismatch. Then this is automated lung nodule detection and characterization, again presented by us in 2019. And this, like I said, is with Preventive Health out of Bangalore. Radiologist level performance in nodule characterization by CNN based deep learning system. And so this AI algorithm will pick up the nodules, will give their sizes, and will also tell what is the possibility of it being malignant, of it being cancerous. And AI, even in its initial days, outperformed 3 senior radiologists on nodule characterization versus biopsy. The radiologist's accuracy was about 78%, whereas AI was about 85% accurate. Automated bone age, this again is something that has been developed by us along with Philips Healthcare out of Bangalore. And this again was presented 3 years ago. Automated classification of chest x-rays as normal, abnormal using deep learning. And this again is coming into day-to-day clinical practice. Now, AI, we feel, will become the physician's assistant. AI for tuberculosis is already, WHO has given a green signal to several algorithms for use for picking up tuberculosis. Now, AI will also lead, we feel, to integrated diagnostics, and integrated diagnostics is a new concept where radiology, pathology, genomics, and further up, clinical diagnosis all will come together. And using AI at the back end, we will be able to give integrated diagnosis, already being used for integrated tumor boards. And this is a courtesy Sectra, where everything is on one screen. The mammogram, the biopsy, the the PET scan, all of these together with the AI at the back helping. And this definitely is where the future is headed. This will become, we feel, a single patient-centric window for clinicians, because it's very, very difficult for a clinician to be able to digest all of this diagnostic material and then be able to treat. And digital integration has already started. And the future of radiogenomics is also genomics data along with detailed imaging data, PET, CT, MRI, X-ray, whatever, and clinical follow-up data is what will be used. This will be fed to machine learning systems, and then the future of screening and preventive health checks will also lie in integrated diagnostics, where genetic risk is done using exome sequencing. You have acquired risk taken by detailed history, whether there's smoking, exposure to carcinogens, viral infections, radiation, and whole body MRI and other imaging will actually be able to give the answer to this question, which everyone asks: do I have cancer right now? And what is the best screening protocol for me using all this data, using genetic risk, acquired risk, current status, and be able to determine the screening modality of choice. The hospital of the future will, we feel, have an integrated diagnostics department where the clinical departments, the surgical departments will work with this diagnostics department, which will have diagnosticians, for the want of a better word, where radiology, biochemistry, pathology, genetics, and clinical information specialists will all come together with AI at the back, and this diagnostician will then interact with the clinical departments and the surgeons and the physicians to help them, give them the accurate diagnosis so that they can do the correct treatment. And that too may depend with AI at the back end, digesting all the thousands and thousands of clinical research papers to determine which is the best possible treatment. The Integrated Diagnostics Institute, we feel, will have imaging, pathology, genomics all under one roof. And this is our attempt at that. This is going to start in about 2 weeks in New Delhi, opposite IIT in Safjung Development Area. This is Mahajan Imaging, Caring, where -1 level will have 3 MRI scanners and spectral CT. On level 1 will be molecular imaging, PET CT, gamma camera. Second floor will be all ultrasounds, X-rays, CBCT, DEXA, mammo, what have you. The third floor will be artificial intelligence team, genomics, routine pathology, blood tests, and the fourth floor will be teaching, training, all of it together under one roof. We feel that this is the future, the integrated diagnostics, and the future we feel will be enabled by artificial intelligence. And we have built the world's first end-to-end validation and deployment platform for medical imaging AI. We call it CARPL, the Caring AI platform. And on another day, we will talk about this in greater detail. I thank you again for giving me this opportunity and for showing you something which this conference is emphasizing. Make in India, develop in India, think in India. And once you've developed in India, of course, we will be using it in India, but we will also be developing it for use in the rest of the world. So congratulations on this novel conference, and thank you again very much. And I'll end by something which Mr. Jack Welch, the legendary chairman of GE, used to say, change before you have to, and control your destiny or someone else will. So let's become Atmanirbhar. Let's develop here. Of course, let's collaborate with everyone across the world, because this is the age of collaboration. This is not the age of living in silos. Let's break those silos. Let's come together and develop for a healthier and a prosperous world. Thank you very much.